Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, good evening and welcome back to Predicting Tranquility, the show where we constantly get scores wrong because all of you keep drawing maps. You know who you are. My name is Bowsy, and I will be your host for tonight. And as always, I'm joined by my wonderful two co-hosts. First, returning from week number 1, it's the wonderful PDK. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I feel great. I'm ready to predict scores incredibly wrong.
Listen, that's our jobs here. And making his first appearance on Predicting Tranquility is the one and only SEAL Team Spuds DPS player, Seraph. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, nice to be here. I'm ready to make some base predictions.
Base is the name of our game here. You know, you want to make those predictions that will trigger everybody in chat. Now, for those who haven't been around for a while, especially those who may have raided in with Natter, which, by the way, thank you again for that raid. Here's how this works. We are here to predict all 42 matches happening this week in Tranquility Gaming. All 84 teams will get some sort of spotlight, and each of us have decided to show what the scores are. We've each predicted what the scores are going to be for all of these matches, and we base it off a scoring prediction system. If we get the correct match winner, we get 1 point. If we get the correct match winner and the correct score line, we get 3 points. Hence why I said draws mess us up a lot, because let's be honest, they always do. So at the end of the day, we're going to be compiling all these into the scores. I did promise you guys scores last week. I do still have those scores saved, but I also have the scores from week number 2 available for content creation team, the week, and for the overall throughout the entire tournament length, including both week 1 and week 2 scores. But all that sort of nonsense out of the way, it's time to get into the first grouping here. PDK, would you mind bringing us into the first group for Predicting Tranquility tonight, which is EU Harmony Group A?
All right, so everyone here at the desk had Thunderbolt Rewind beating Acer? Acer?
Acer, I believe.
Yeah.
Acer,
Acer?
Acer, something
All
along
right,
those
everyone had him
lines.
beating. Me and Bowsy went in the favor 4-0. Surf, that would be a tad bit closer with Acer squeezing a map in. Sorry, they
Gotta
don't
give him a
have,
little. Gotta give him a little.
just a little bit.
I
You know,
some assurance.
All right, and then we have Orthis versus Feeders United. Everyone in the side of what is that? Feeders United, right? But I was the
Yes.
only one that thought a 4-0. Seraph and Bowsy thought it was gonna be a map 5 thriller. I don't know. Not feeling it myself. And then we got Apollo and A10 Esports. Everyone 4-0 for Apollo. So
They going to the moon.
all the way up, sir.
Yeah, we definitely have that reason for everyone going in Apollo, and definitely Orthis versus Feeders United, definitely the most interesting match here, because Orthis, obviously, they took a big win in their feature matchup against Aten Esports, but last week lost to Thunderbolt Rewind 4-0. So EU definitely showing its sort of chaotic neutral stance here, and I'm going to be interested to see if they will be able to stand up to Feeders United. I say that map by situation, especially with Feeders United, as we mentioned in the podcast, having some issues last week, but it's going to be interesting to see, and obviously Seraph is also interested to see that map 5 thriller, so yeah, going to be excited to see what that brings aboard, but now we're going to be heading into our next group, which is EU Harmony B. Seraph, take it away.
All right. Well, we're looking for our first match, Hellhounds versus EU Scrimbucks. Everyone on desk predicted cashing in on a Scrimbucks win. Me, on the other hand, playing it safe with that one map for Hellhounds. Insurance. Next map will be Next match will be Snooble Gold versus Pay to Win, with 3-1, 4-0, and 3-2 in favor of Pay to Win. And last but not least, Venice Viper versus Frequency C. Everyone predicting a 4-0 for Venice Vipers.
Yeah, definitely. Snubble Gold definitely having a bad loss last week when they lost up against, I'm pretty sure I have the standings right here. Oh, yeah. Hellhounds, who 4-0'd them, which was definitely a surprise after Hellhounds in their first week, I'm pretty sure got 4-0'd by another team. I'm looking it up here. I was very prepared for this, can't you tell? Yeah, they got 4-0 by Venice Vipers, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do this week up against EU Scrimbucks. And also, again, it's very interesting scores. EU Harmony Group B, if you look at all these score lines, like 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, this is the most chaotic group by far in EU. So I think it's safe to say we're all over the place in terms of these predictions.
It's definitely the group that seemed to have the most fluidity, especially for second and third place.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see which teams come out on top. All of us, of course, siding with one side. But now we're done with Across the Pond. Of course, EU happening starting tomorrow with the feature match, which is, I'm pretty sure it's Venice Vipers versus Frequency, and I believe that is the case from what I'm remembering. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But with all that out of the way, now it's time to head back over to the continental United States and start off with NA Harmony A, and this is my group to cover. So, starting off, we have Fighting Potatoes versus Shake and Bake, two teams that are obviously at very weak starts here in this group. Everybody on the desk think it's going to be Fighting Potatoes. I'm the only person who thinks it's going to be 3-1. PDK and Seraph think it's going to go to a map 5 situation. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Next up, Nemesis versus Koala Kings, the 2-0 teams in this group, apart from one extra 2-0 team. Only PDK and Seraph are thinking that Koala Kings are going to win. Seraph thinks it'll be map 5. PDK thinks it's going to be done in 4. I, however, like the chance of an upset. I don't trust the Koala Kings this season, and I'm picking Nemesis to win 3-2, which, if that happens, we talked about in the podcast, that's going to be a big upset, and that's going to really shake up the sort of power rankings throughout this entire season. And our final match in RMA, which is our feature match this week, Strix versus Chrysalis. Everybody on the desk thinking it's going to be a 4-0 win here for Strix, so definitely a lot of interesting sort of scores here, and it's going to be interesting to see how these matches play out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see which team comes out on top and shapes the top of Harmony.
Yeah, because this year has a lot of those top teams. Like, this is the most consistent team with the 2-0 teams. You have 2 teams that are 2-0, 2 teams that are 0-2. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out in the end. And again, there really is no variance apart from my pick for Nemesis to win. So nothing really to discuss there, unfortunately, unless you guys want to ask me about that.
If Nemesis win, I mean, like, my only question is betting against the Koala Kings. Like, they're just like kind of voted to be like one of, if not the best team in Harmony tier. So it might be a little bit of a question mark in my eyes. But you know,
going against the Kings, man.
Exactly.
I've gone against the Kings before, and I have proven to be correct. See Quokka Queens losing last season, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But
some grudge there. You were holding on that one.
Listen, bracketology doesn't lie, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these go. All right, but with all that out of the way, now we're done with Harmony RMA. It's time to move on to Harmony RMB here. We're gonna start off with, again, PDK. Take it away.
All right, so first match we have Frost Bloom versus Luminous Foxes. Everyone on desk had Luminous winning, but Bowsy thought that Frost Bloom was gonna take a map, for sure. And then second match we have Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies, a little bit of a tongue twister, versus Boop. Everyone had 4-0 in the Duckies. Yeah, that's their name now. The Duckies are gonna 4-0. And then final match you have Big Bang Buccaneers versus Fahrenheit. What's the numbers?
972.
972 for that one. Everyone in favor. Get your clothes. Everyone in favor of Big Bang Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see which team comes out on top there. Obviously, Big Bang Buccaneers, kind of a rough start this season. They were able to get a win as of recently after I believe Abstract ended up forfeiting, so they ended up getting the 4-0 victory there. Definitely going to be interesting to see how that goes. Fahrenheit also had a very shaky start to this season. And also, I would like to mention, yes, we do have a new team in this group, Frost Bloom, which is a division of the Frost org, which happens to run Frost Nova and Frost Surge. I have a little bit of information about who is on this team currently. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to build up that roster. Obviously, this team replaced Abstract, who had some, let's say, problems. We're not going to dive deep into it here. That's the admin's job to dive deep into it. So we're going to see how that goes. And it's going to be interesting to see how these matches tune out. Also, like to mention, Big Bang Buccaneers, they just recruited Beppo to the team. So, Beppo is
Look
now
at
stuck in
Beppo.
Beppo is once again
Beppo.
under Mr. Yeti's reign, which is not the best. But B, that means they have
It's not
another hit
fun.
scan
I mean,
player
what?
because Beppo is meant to be playing hit scan. It'll be interesting to see how Big Bang do with that new hit scan player under their
Yeah,
belt.
it'll be interesting to see whether or not they pick up after their shaky start and go swarm into A or B, whichever they end up.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
And with that tier out, it's time to head on to the Indigo side. Seraph, take it away with Harmony Indigo A.
All right, so our first matchup is Steam versus Squall, with pretty much everyone on the desk voting that Squall would take this with a 3-2, 3-1, and PDK believing it's going to be just a pure stomp.
4 Overwatch.
And then our second match, the Amateur Professionals versus Turbo Throwers, with everyone believing it's going to be a 4-0 sweep, because that's how professionals do it, baby. And then, Johanna? Gehenna. Yeah, that's it. That trips me up. Gehenna Gatekeepers versus Frost Nova is predicted pretty much PDK and Bowsy say that Frost Nova win. I say Gehenna will win.
Yeah, definitely an interesting prediction, and I feel like I know where your reasoning is coming from for saying Gehenna is going to win that, because Frost Nova has had a very rough start. They did get the win last week due to Turbo Throwers having some issues, again, just like Abstract, except the team actually stayed. They just need to try to recruit lower SR players. But I honestly, PDK, I hope you can agree with this in saying that this is Frost Nova's last chance to prove themselves this season, because it's been 2 weeks of losses, apart from last week where they actually got a forfeit win. They haven't looked that great, so this is probably their last chance to show that they are the real deal here.
Gotta agree. You can't really. If you start 0-3, you're kind of relegated to the B or C, right? I don't think if you lose
I'm pretty
two games,
sure,
it's
yeah.
So
pretty much
this
week 3
is
breaks
their time to shine. They have to pull it out this week.
Yeah, they are 1-1. They're not 0-3, but they have to try and prove it. Yeah, because they got the win last week. They got the forfeit win last week over Turbo Throws.
Having 2 losses,
Yeah,
not the ideal.
Yeah, for Steam and Frost Nova especially, it's do or die
right now.
if they want to get into A tier.
Yeah, definitely. For Steam, it is. I think it's actually very close because Steam is 0-2 right now, so they have to win soon.
They have to. They have to get together. Yeah.
I didn't really bet in their favor, so I can't really talk.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how these go and how these sort of matches play out. So we'll definitely see how that goes. And now to wrap up the Harmony tier, it's once again me commenting, this time on Harmony Indigo B. Starting off, we have Jersey Boys versus Geometric. Me and Seraph have decided to go the way of Geometric. I choose 1-3. Seraph chose 2-3. PDK choosing the Jersey Boys, who last week got their big win up against Galactic Penguins, choosing them to win 3-2. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Next up, you have Galactic Penguins, as I just mentioned, against Wildfire. Forgot to update the scores for Galactic Penguins, but they did lose last week. Jersey Boys are 2-0. Galactic Penguins are 1-1. Everyone here on the desk thinking that Galactic Penguins will get their second win. Me and Sarah thinking that Wildfire will take a map. And our final series of the week is 3.5 versus Doodles. Everyone, again, in the favor of Doodles. I think it's going to be a map 5 situation because it's Doodles. You can't trust Doodles. And PDK thinks it's going to be a sweep, and Sarah thinks it's going to be a 3-1 situation. So really, definitely interesting sort of scores here, and it's going to be interesting to see, especially with this Jersey Boys versus Geometric match, who's going to be coming out on top.
Yeah, well, that Jersey Boys team, it's really built around a core of a few players. I forgot their names, and just gradually them improving over the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how those improvements pay out against what seems to be a superior team in Geometric.
I mean, Jersey Boys have been favorites since I think season 4 or 5 Harmony tier. So I think this is finally the season of the Jersey Boys.
Yeah, it's the run.
It's Jersey Boys versus the world right now.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Jersey Boys took the win here, because I watched the Galactic Penguins match last week. My God, they are very good at Brawl. They are really good at Brawl. There are some heroes that I feel like could counter them, but they are really good at that Brawl comp. If Geometric can find a way to get around that, I think it's going to be a very close match. So we'll see which team comes out there, and that's going to really determine the first seed in this group, because obviously Galactic Penguins losing a match is not going to be boding well for their score. But that's it for Harmony tier, and now we're going to be moving on to Discord tier, starting off with Discord RMA. PDK, take it away.
All right, so first game we have the Renegades versus Monarch. Everyone on desk think it's going to be 4 Overwatch in favor of the Renegades. You know. Second match we have Valkyrie versus Firefight. Correct?
Yes.
Everyone has map 5 in favor of Valkyrie. This is going to be an absolute nail biter to watch this week. It's going to be one of the most watched games, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then final game we have Storybook Heroes versus Domination. Me and Bowsy in favor of 4-0 for Domination. And then Seraph taking the complete other side, a map 5 thriller in the favor of Storybook Heroes.
Yeah, when I was putting in these scores, I saw this score and I was like, Seraph, you madman. What is your explanation for saying Storybook Heroes will win against Domination?
Hey, I'm a sucker for a fairy tale with a happy ending.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you, because the first week I did the same thing where I had that sort of scripted ending with like Regicide beating Koala Queens. Didn't happen, but I had that sort of scripted idea. I like your sort of thinking, and especially Domination. It's weird. Domination are such a weird team this season, because what was it? 2 weeks ago, they lost to Valkyrie 4-0.
Yeah.
Last week, they beat Firefight 4-0. Yeah. So it's like they're
very inconsistent, and sometimes it just feels like, and there's maybe a weakness that Storybook can exploit, or vice versa for Domination.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Storybook can get that. Of course, Storybook coming off their first win last week against Monarch 3-1, with the most unfortunate Kings Row ending I think I have ever seen. I'll probably tell these people about them at the end of the broadcast. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see if that Storybook tale comes true for Storybook Heroes versus Domination. But now we're moving on to... Don't say anything, PDK. Now we're moving on to Discord RMB. Seraph, take it away.
All right, for Discord RMB, our first matchup, the Okies from Oath take on Frost Surge in a battle for third place. Bowsy predicting that Frost Surge win with a 3-1, PDK with a 4-0, and me vouching for the Okies 3-2. Second match will be Koala Queens versus Drakes, and Bowsy believing in a 3-2, PDK 4-0, and Seraph 3-2. And then Cosmic Castaways versus Regicide. Mostly everyone on desk believes Cosmic Castaways will win, with me and Bowsy going 3-1 and PDK 4-0.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting tier, because like you have the top ends, which are Cosmic Castaways, Koala Queens, and Drakes, and then you have the sort of like middling bottom teams, which are Oath, Frost Surge, and Regicide. It kind of was hard to look at Oath versus Frost Surge, but Frost Surge did take a map off of Cosmic Castaways. At the same time, Oath took a map off of Koala Queens, so it's kind of hard to really differentiate who could be better in that situation. It's going to be interesting to see that match. And Seraph, you were the one who decided to pick Oath. Is that just from personal experience, or do you really are you really gunning for Oath here?
You gotta vouch for. I was born in Oklahoma. You gotta vouch for your fellow Okies, for sure.
Okay, right. Oh yeah, Oath are an Oklahoma org. I totally forgot that.
They're from Oklahoma, and so I believe they can take it, get that 1-2, come back strong. But I think the real match to really look at, though, is definitely Koala Queen versus Drakes.
Yeah, I definitely feel like along with that, because Drakes coming into this week 4-0, they're 2-0 right now, but their matches have been up against Frost Surge, I'm pretty sure, and Regicide. I can actually look at this. Yeah. So their matches have been up against they've been up against weak teams from what I'm sure. Yeah, Frost Surge and Reggie last week. So
there has been sort of there has been sort of a trend. Usually, that Trank tiers are dominated by Trank veteran teams and such, and so it'll be interesting to see, because Drake's is mostly comprised of BPL players. And so it'll be interesting to see if new players into the tournament can make a breakout.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see which teams come out on top. Definitely interesting to see if Drake's will be able to take that. But now out of Aurum B with the Koala Queens and all that sort of such, we're going to be heading on to the next grouping, which is Aurum A, starting up or Indigo A, sorry. And I get to cast this one again, so I get to talk about all your predictions, which, to be honest, not as many surprises as I thought. First matchup, of course, Inferno Voxes versus SEAL Team Spuds, which will be broadcasted on Thursday. Everybody on the favor of SEAL Team Spuds, but I'm the only person who thinks it's going to be a map 5. These other two here, maybe a little bit biased with this guy right down here, or the guy all the way down there, but they all think it's going to be 4-0 in favor of the Spuds. Next up is Ragnarok Fenrir versus Rampaging Inferno. Inferno obviously got their first win last week up against Rift, but everyone thinks it's going to be a win for Fenrir. Again, I'm the only person going to a map 5. Well, PDK and Sarah think it's only going to be one map taken for the Rampaging Bulls. And our final match of the week here for Indigo A is Joey Esports versus Rift. Again, everybody on the desk think it's favor of Joey Esports, but me and Sarah give a map to Rift. So yeah, this tier looks interesting, and especially with Joey Esports might be having a little bit of an issue this week. For those who aren't aware, Joey Esports, they obviously one of their players is Navino. Unless this match gets rescheduled, which I haven't heard anything about yet, Navino is currently away on a trip. He was supposed to be on the show this week. He couldn't make it. So there's a chance Joey Esports might be without their off-tank player, Navino. But it's going to be interesting because I think Joey Esports still have the mental capacity and have that sort of skill to be able to bring it into their favor.
Yeah, Joey. Yeah, I think Rift might be able to do something if they keep it together and come together as a team and get something done. But I do think it's very in favor of Joey.
Yeah, and also I'm getting confirmation from the chat. Swifter's telling me that Harry Styles is on the off tank, which that also makes sense. I didn't know Harry Styles was an off tank. I thought he was more of a Reinhardt specialist, but that still can help your case, especially when you have Cryptic on the main tank role. Oh yeah, that's. I've seen Cryptic. Yeah. I've seen Cryptic for myself. He definitely was a good pickup for that team. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Joey do, and also gonna be interesting to see all these teams again. Rampaging Inferno coming off their first win. That feature between Inferno and SEAL Team is gonna also be very interesting. So we'll see where that leads. But now enough of Indigo A. Enough of talking about Joseph Electronic Sports. It's now time to head on to Indigo B. PDK, take it away.
All right. So first game of Hammerhead versus Redacted. I was the only one in favor of Redacted. And Bowsy and Seraph went in the way of Hammerhead. Everyone though thinks it's gonna be an absolute nail biter of the series, map 5. So yeah. And then second game we have Alt F4 versus Oreo Fleet. Everyone in favor of Oreo Fleet. Though everyone has a different score line for the game. I think it's gonna be a 4-0. Bowsy thinks it's gonna be 3-1, and Seraph thinks it's gonna be a thrill of a game, map 5. So, and then final game we have Space Created versus Zeus. Everyone in favor of Space Created 4-0. Poseidon. Sorry, that just my brain.
So Destroyed It was the wrong team name.
Huh?
So Destroyed It was the wrong team name, you said. Or so one-sided, it was the wrong team name and altogether.
It was I don't know why. It looked like the Zeus logo, so it kind of just clicked in my head for some reason.
I will tell you, the logos do look similar. I will not blame you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I'm surprised when I saw the results. I was surprised that PDK did not go for Alt F4 bias, especially after week 1 when he told me like he's on the team and then he was biased for it.
Slight issue. I'm kind of biased towards both teams because I kind of own Oreo Fleet.
Oh.
And then I'm kind of like, so I was like, you know what? Mix Ready shit talked to me earlier today, so you know what? Oreo Fleet 4-0 win.
Oh, this is gonna get awkward. It's gonna be interesting. Also, the Redacted match and Hammerhead match, I'm really looking forward to.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
That's gonna be a scrappy brawl for third place.
Yeah, and also I would like to point this out right now. Redacted thus far, they've had 2 series where they've won the first 2 maps. How many series have they lost?
Uh-oh.
They've got reverse swept twice.
Yeah.
So I don't trust Redacted if they take up 2 maps in this series.
I trust.
You go first.
I trust. Sorry, no. I trust Hammerhead to get the W.
Yeah, so do I. I trust Hammerhead a lot more than I do Redacted. After Redacted got reverse set twice, I don't trust Redacted to have that clutch factor right now.
He kind of fumbled with it.
Listen, they've dropped the spaghetti twice in a row, my guy. You can't just do it twice. once is enough.
Oh.
Twice means you got to go back to the kitchen. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see who comes out in that match, and I think it's definitely going to be one to watch. But now, done with Discord, all these sort of weird predictions and all these sort of weird scores. Now it's time to transcend up to the Transcendence tier. My friend Seraph, take it away with RMA.
All right. So our first match is going to be Reckless Sigma versus Phoenix, with with Bowsy and PDK going for Sigma and me going for Phoenix. 3-1. And our second match is going to be Battalion versus who's it?
Swarm Hornets
Yeah,
is what I have here.
That's it. Okay. They're a new team that's going in. And yeah. So we all predicted 4-0 in favor of Battalion. And then our final matchup is going to be Vengeance versus Epizesis.
EpiPen.
Epic Zeus.
Or EpiPen, depending on what PDK says.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all predicted a 4-0 for the EpiPens.
They're forever just going to be known as the EpiPens. I'm going to have to start rewriting this team name so that people can pronounce it right. But no, it's going to be interesting to see these teams. So obviously, Swarm Hornets. This has not been confirmed yet by Tranquility, but Booth wrote this into the sheets. Booth wrote this into the polls. They were written on the roster sheets, so I put them down here. Very likely that this team could not be in Tranquility because they have no players yet, but I wrote them down just in case because obviously it's good to have those new teams in. It'll be interesting to see how they do. But all of us picked a 4-0 for Battalion anyway, so it's going to be interesting. Seraph, I want to hear your reasoning about this Reckless Sigma versus Phoenix match because you're the only person here predicting Phoenix.
Mostly based on I don't really follow Transcendence tier all that much, but I do. It does seem like Phoenix is a strong team coming out, but it could go Sigma too. Either way.
Real quick, I'm gonna chip in. Sigma is really good.
Yeah, that's
Sigma
what I
is
was
good.
saying.
Like we just played them, and they gave us trouble. Like they were a really good team to play against. Like they have a really good ball comp. So I'm kind of excited to see how they do against Phoenix because we haven't played Phoenix yet. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said that you would win against them 3-2. You did 4-0 them, but I'm guessing it was a close 4-0 as the representative
the
from
maps
Battalion
were close. Yeah, it was. They were a good team to play against. They gave me a lot of trouble. I kind of just locked hog and because I didn't know how to play against them. So I'm really excited to see how they do against Phoenix, though.
Lesson learned, everybody. When PDK doesn't know how to play against you, he's going to lock the hog. So get your anti-skill ready. Anyway, that's enough for RMA here. It's definitely really interesting to see all these sort of scores. And it's going to be interesting to see who's right in those sort of situations. But now we're heading over to Transcendence RMB. Let me just check to see who's actually saying this. Oh, yeah, it's me. So heading into Transcendence RMB, our first match is Manifest versus Throwing Her Bad. No surprise after last week's feature, everybody in favor of Manifest, the preseason runner-ups. I'm the only person who gives a map over to Throwing Her Bad. Everybody else thinks it's going to be a 4-0. Next up is Maelstrom versus Devil Dukes, our Transcendence feature match. Kind of weird how I got a 3 of the 4 feature matches to talk about here, but everybody in favor of Devil Dukes. Seraph is the only person giving a map over to Maelstrom, which is interesting. They'll be happy to see how that goes. And this final match, so there is no 24th team here in Tranquility. Insidious get a bye this week, but I had to include Seraph's score because I had to ping him in the discussion and say, explain, because he decided to choose bye 4-0.
Hey, all I'm saying, Bai is able to compete at every single level of this competition.
That's fair.
And with no players at all. They are cracked. Like they may not win any game. They may not win any games, but they gave their hearts. You know what I mean?
It's a ballsy prediction, to say the least,
sure.
but it'll be interesting to see if it comes true. But yeah, I'm interested also, Sarah, to hear about your one map for Maelstrom here, because you're the only person who goes against us here on the Maelstrom pick.
Yeah, I've been an avid Maelstrom believer for a while. I don't know if they're same team that came out.
Yeah,
from
is that
this...
same season?
Not the same org. It's not the spicy water org. So.
Hey! I believe in Maelstrom. They can get a map. I believe.
Well, we'll see if that comes true next week. It'll definitely be interesting to see, or this week. It'll be interesting to see how they go. But enough of Aurum. Now it's time to move on to Indigo. Starting off with Transcendence, Indigo. A PDK. Take it away.
All right, so we got Zeus. That's okay. This is Zeus. Good to know.
This is it.
Versus
Yes.
Meraki. I'm the only one that bet against my other analyst here. I went inside of Meraki 3-1. Other way. Bowsy went in the side of Zeus 3-1, and then me and Seraph went in the side of Meraki. But Seraph did think gonna be a map 5. So, and the second game we have Carnage versus Danger Close. Me and Bowsy have Carnage winning 4-0, but Seraph, the complete opposite side, thinks Danger Close is gonna edge it out 3-1. Then final game, we have Billings Boomers versus Fahrenheit 214.
Correct.
Yes. Everyone in favor of Billings Boomers. I'm the only person who thinks it's gonna be a 4-0. Bowsy and Seraph thinks that Fahrenheit is gonna edge a map out.
Yeah, definitely. Billings Boomers making a huge impact last week, getting that 4-0 win over Meraki. Definitely showing to be a strong team. I grossly underestimated how well that team would do to start off. Mainly because I have Sempra, but that's besides the point. Seraph, again, the outlier here. Danger Close. Was this because the logo is that good? Which, honestly, I wouldn't argue with you. The logo is amazing.
It's partly the logo and partly, you have to believe in the underdog coming back. I think they hopefully they get it together. I think they get the 1-2 and move on.
Okay, well, gonna be interesting to see if they'll be able to take the series off of Carnage, especially with the other analysts in the other favor. But it's gonna be interesting to see these matches in Indigo A. It's definitely a tier that's showing its potential here. Carnage, Billings Boomers, F214, which just picked up Retro, who, for those who saw last season, you know how much of a menace Retro can be. So be interesting to see what teams come out. But now, unfortunately, all things must come to an end, and it is our time for our final tier. Seraph, take it away with the final tier predictions, which is Transcendence Indigo B.
All right. Well, our first match is Decapitators versus Kent State, with all of us on the panel believing it'll be a 4-0 sweep for the Decapitators. Our second match will be Reckless Arcadia versus Puerto Rico, with Bowsy and PDK believing it's going to be a Reckless Arcadia win, with me believing in a Puerto Rico 4-0. And our final match will be Uzumaki versus Rat Society, with me and PDK in favor of Uzumaki and Bowsy in favor of Rat Society 3-2. Gonna be a map 5 for him.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be very interesting. Uzumaki's only win this season was up against Kent State, which I feel like isn't a great team. No offense to Kent. I respect the university people. I am a university myself. Seraph's also a university, as you can see at the bottom there. So we all have that.
On gaming.
Yeah, we all have that sort of interest. We all have that sort of university background. It's gonna be interesting. Also, yeah, I doubted the Decapitators last week. That was a mistake. So yeah, it was a mistake. No. I've learned my lesson. So
and they got a brand new player into Decapitators.
Yes.
They have Smugs,
you
the
have
Hall
Smugs,
of Famer himself.
You have Smugs, you have Andy, and apparently Ice is coming back to coach this team. Decapitators look scary. This could be the season that Decapitators get the championship. I would not be surprised.
I'm going to show my Spud bias. I believe it. Yes.
Obviously, your bias is going to come into play. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Decapitators can do it. And also, yes, I still am a Reckless Org friend. I do like Reckless Org. I still think Reckless Arcadia is going to do good despite that loss to Decap. But yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting tier to watch. And honestly, it's going to be very exciting to see all these sort of matches. But there you go. There is every single match, all 42 matches, 84 teams scored, predicted, and most likely going to be wrong when it comes to this week. So that's pretty much all we have to do there. Any more comments about the predictions before we head on to the scores from last week and 2 weeks ago?
Not
Puerto Rico.
Oh.
Yeah, obviously Sarah supporting Puerto Rico there. Definitely an interesting pick, and I'm gonna be interested to see if Puerto Rico can pull that. They are the top 8 team according to the Iris podcast, so we'll see if they get any sort of wins. Now, last week I did promise you guys scores, and I don't think the VOD came out with them, so just in case, I did actually make up these scenes here that have the 2 scores that I showed last week. First off, obviously, the top 5 CCT scores, which obviously you can see right now on the screen. And then you have the top 5 community scores, which you can see on the screen. Navino took the top community member, and Cry took home the Navino took home the CCT, Cry took home the community member. So definitely some interesting scores there. But it's going to be interesting to see who takes home the scores this week. So obviously, we do this every week, and now I have 3 categories. I don't have 2. Now, no longer is it just CCT and community. Now it's 3. CCT that week and the overall. So starting off with the first one, which is the CCT scores from last week. In 5th place with 51 points is NRFT or Nerfed, whichever one it is. I don't know at this point. And also, by the way, these 2 analysts don't know about these scores, so you might hear them react in a sort of way depending on how well it is. In 4th place is Navino with 52 points in the CCT last week. 3rd place, Seraph, you might be happy about this one. It's your resident Capital with 53 points, getting 3rd place last week. You boo
No,
him.
kidding.
Okay, I see how it is.
No,
I'm telling
no.
Capital that. In 2nd place with 54 points is myself. And in 1st place, keeping the tradition of being on the podcast while he gets 1st place in the CCT scores, it's PDK.
Yes. Sorry, I just woke my mom up. I'm happy.
Yeah, that
He's
could
gonna
definitely
get
happen.
grounded on live. Let's go.
That could happen. But yes, PDK was the best performing content creation team member last week. Congratulations,
Watch. What can I
PDK.
say?
Yeah, definitely. He had 58 points last week, 4-point difference over me. So gonna be interesting to see. But now, of course, we head into last week's overall scores for the entire community. And I got to be honest, when I was looking at these scores, I had so many questions. Actually, no, these aren't the ones I was having questions about. It was next week. In 5th place, again, Capital, 53 points. In 4th place, myself with 54 points. In 3rd place is LGDTW or Hayes from the Koala Queens with 55 points. Now, you may be wondering who is 2nd and 1st. Well, that's kind of the funny thing this week, because apparently we had 2 1st-place people. One, obviously, I've already mentioned, is PDK. The other is Toxic from the Big Bang Buccaneers.
I'd like to resign. I cannot be on the same tier as Toxic, so I'm out.
I mean, listen, that can happen. But yeah, Toxic and PDK tied this week for the weekly scores, 58 points separated between those two. But of course, that's not all of it. Of course, we obviously have the scores from week 1 that we have to tally into this week, which is where the top 5 community member scores of all time come into play. Starting off in 5th place, or should I say 4th place? We have a tie for 4th place. And this is where stuff gets awkward. In 4th place this week is Navino and PDK with 107 points overall. In 3rd place, or should I say 2nd and 3rd place, because we also have another tie, with Cry and myself having 108 points. And then in 1st place, which honestly was a big surprise to me. And actually, I'm surprised that they got this many points, especially considering they weren't on the chart last week. Or at least I'm pretty sure they weren't. In 1st place overall, entering week number 3, it's a Big Bang surprise when it's Toxic at the front with 113 points cumulative overall.
Man.
So definitely, this is where stuff gets weird, especially with the fact that everybody is so tied up and very close. Because I looked at the sheet and everybody's like extremely close, and then Toxic's up there, 5 points ahead of everybody else. So it's definitely interesting, and honestly, very interesting to see all those sort of scores. Any sort of reactions from you apart from PDK deciding to pop up that he won?
Oh. Wow, 5 points. That's pretty big
So I
lead.
kind of got a text.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well,
Oh, okay.
we'll definitely deal with that as time goes on. But
Okay, I'm good.
yeah, definitely interesting scores, and that's just going to keep changing. Remember, you should submit every single week to the Predicting Tranquility forum. I post it every single Monday in the live content channel over on the Discord server. If you want to submit every single week, you have a chance of being on one of those charts if you're part of the content creation team, or if you are a part of the normal community, you could be on the charts. Hayes, of course, was on the chart this week, and Toxic is one of the top 5. So anything could happen and anything will happen here. But that is going to do it here for our show. Any last words between you three before I go into our feature matches of the week?
Not really. Watch out for
Not
Puerto
really.
Rico.
Vamos, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, definitely Puerto Rico, a team to watch out this season. The Map 5 Kings in the preseason. You do not want to underestimate them. Of course, now we have to go into our feature matches of the week before we close it out. First off, tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 Central, you have, or 8:30 Central is in like Central UK time, EU. We have our EU feature match, which is going to be Venice Vipers versus Frequency. We already predicted on that match here today. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And then later that day, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, is Strix versus Chrysalis over in the Harmony tier. You do not want to miss that match. It's going to be one heck of a showdown. After that, Wednesday, of course, is our normal match day, which means we have a delayed start of 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, where Maelstrom take on the Devil Dukes. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'll be on a 30-minute delay, mind you, so if there's tech problems, we can't really fix them. So don't blame the tech people. Thursday is our final match of the week, which is, of course, Inferno Voxes versus SEAL Team Spuds. That will be at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we end out the night with the Beat Drop, where we interview 4 magnificent people. I can actually get those people up right now because I have the tab open. We're gonna be interviewing Kime from Galactic Penguins, Gusty from Domination, Bubba Wyatt from Chrysalis, and the one and only Retro from Fahrenheit 214, former member of Chrysalis and former well-respected DPS player. But that is going to do it for us today here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. And make sure you don't miss any of that Tranquility content. Hit that follow button, hit the bell, maybe subscribe if you have the money. But that's going to do it for us today. Thank you all for watching. For Seraph and PDK and the rest of the content creation team, thank you all for watching, and we hope you have an amazing night.